everybody. High school graduation rates across New York City remain steady, with a little over 85% of students earning a diploma.
However, getting a high school diploma doesn't always mean you are ready for college. Joining us this morning to explain the impact this is having on young adults, especially in communities of color, is Khary Lazarre-White, the co-founder of the Brotherhood Sister Sol nonprofit based out of Harlem. So good morning to you, Khary. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I mean, the stats are very disappointing. So it shows that only 57% of New York City high school graduates are ready for college. How does that compare to other large cities?
So New York is behind many other large cities. This is certainly a national issue, though. This is a reflection, our schools are a reflection of society. I would extend that statistic a bit. It's not just that only 57% are graduating college ready. Of those who then go off to college, only one out of three then drops out within 6 months.
Yeah, that's 37%.
So it's both a preparation issue and also a retention issue. And I think what's important is that we can talk about different changes to our school system, but we have to remember that schools are a reflection of society. If 1 out of 4 children doesn't have the basic necessities they need at home. Just recently, a poverty report was released in New York that over 50% of New Yorkers live in economic poverty or near the poverty line. If you have substandard housing, you will not do well in school. If you have insufficient food, you will not do well in school. If you don't have sufficient health care, you will not do well in school. And so when we look at these types of issues, this is why we have to tackle this in a really broad way. It's not just about what happens during the school day, but it's about larger societal issues, about why we're not preparing kids for school, and in turn, why they're not remaining in school.
Yeah, of course, it extends beyond those walls of the actual physical school,
Correct.
right? So yesterday, your organization met with a bunch of leaders within the city to discuss ways to improve all those things you just talked about. What came out of the meeting?
So we had a conversation with New York City Council Speaker Adams and then council members Abreu and Williams and Stevens and Joseph. They chair the Education and Youth Services and Human Rights Committees, so certainly the right group. And what we were talking about is what large solutions would look like. We have to remember that we've had successive mayoral administrations, different political perspectives, different approaches, and these numbers haven't moved. Even the graduation rate, there's a lot of conversation about, is that an accurate number? Because standards were changed during COVID with online learning. And so what does it look like to have broad solutions? So we were talking about housing. We were talking about economic access. We were talking about reducing poverty. We were talking about what after-school programs need to look like. The best schools in our city extend the day. And we know that because this city has wonderful schools. We know what it takes. We also have mediocre schools, and we have very poor schools. And we can't continue to have an educational caste system in our city. So we were talking macro solutions yesterday, and what does it look like to have the schools that New York City deserves and our children deserve.
I mean, there is so much truth to it takes a village. But do you think that we need to start earlier also in preparing our kids for college?
So pre-K is a huge issue in terms of starting the earlier education experience, which of course the city has tackled. At Brotherhood Sister Sol, and we are an organization that works at the intersection of educating, organizing, and training. To your point, we begin college tours and college exposure as young as elementary school students.
Wow.
We want to inspire them to reach for college and for university. We continue that through junior high school. So yes, college preparedness needs to start early. We also have to think about what does it mean to prepare folks for careers? And so often we're not focused on helping young people learn the analytical skills that they need to compete in society today. Instead, it's rote memory, standardized tests, which in our elite private schools in our city, let's be clear, that's not what they're focused on. They don't have standardized tests in that way. They are producing young people who can analyze and synthesize information. We do the same thing at Brotherhood Sister Sol, and we think our schools need to do more of that.
I'm curious what your take is on, because students are graduating and going to college, right? So they're passing that hurdle of the college application process, the graduation, they're making it there to college. So why are 37% then not making it past the first semester?
So first, our school system has nearly 1 million children in it. We need to remember 10% are homeless. Face of homelessness often in our city are single men who are mentally ill that folks see on the city trains and our city streets. But the majority of homeless people in our city are single moms and their children. So 57% are graduating from high school, but of a system of 1 million children, that means hundreds of thousands are not. That's one issue in terms of really going off to school. Then when they go off to school, what are the issues? I think the same types of societal issues are affecting young people. Lack of access to sufficient financial aid. Finances definitely pushes young people out of school. Inability to get jobs. Inability to pay for the necessary tutoring. A lot of middle class and wealthy kids go off to college and university and struggle, but they get supports to get through. Mental health support, a crucial issue in our country and our city. U.S. Surgeon General says that the mental health crisis for young people is the leading public health crisis in our country. Well, you're an upper middle class student or a wealthy student, and you struggle in college, often when mental health issues appear, your family can provide those support services. But what happens if you're coming from a low income background? So you're dealing with the same type of issues, lack of preparation, yes, but it's also about the support system that's needed to provide young people with the web of support while in college to remain in college. And all too often we do not do that.
Yeah, well, Khary, thank you for the work that you do in giving so many children hope for the future.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you stepping by.
Thank you.